Hello, everybody. I'm going to get started. We still have a few people joining, but I do want to get started because I'm obviously fully aware this is eating into your day as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining this session focused on how you could fix PDFs automatically for compliance purposes, and kind of show you kind of how you could leverage existing technology to achieve that. So with that, I'll just quickly get started. This is going to be more of an interactive session in terms of a demonstration session. So I'll keep my PowerPoints to a minimum, but maybe sort of 10, 15 minutes or so in PowerPoint. And then the rest of the time, I will just show you some scenarios in live demonstration as well. So just quickly introduce kind of what the concept of what we're talking about, look at some of the existing processes you may have in place for how you're preparing your PDFs for compliance today. Kind of look at what we discussed, what can be automated, what things can be automated right now with technology that you may have in place. And I'm going to show you with our own tech here with DocShifter, and then walk you through some examples via live demonstration as well towards the end, and then just share some final thoughts to finish with. With that, just in terms of introduction, I just want to kind of explain, obviously, for those that maybe don't know DocShifter so well, we provide a platform for the automation of high volumes of content preparation. So we take very high volumes of content and prepare it for another purpose, whether that's converting it from one format to another, or performing certain enrichment or certain tasks or manipulations on the content to prepare it as well for specific purposes. So we take content from one repository, we analyze it, we transform it, we enrich it, and then we store the results somewhere else as well. So it's software that's installed either in your own data center or in your private cloud, connected to your different repositories where your content resides, to automate some of the things that you might be doing today manually. And I'll discuss some of those right here. So with that, as I say, what DocShifter is it takes content from, as I mentioned, from different repositories, controlled repositories like the Enov platform, Viva, Documentum, DocuBridge, Generis, Kara from Generis, SharePoint repositories as well, or folders on your network, wherever it may be as well. It takes content from those repositories of any type, just about any type, and then it performs different functions on them. And a lot of people think of a rendering tool, and what I'm going to show you today is how the rendering tool goes well beyond just that creation of the PDF. So I'm going to show you some of the other functions you can call from a tool like DocShifter, where it kind of leverages the same platform, the way of moving documents through, and that mechanism, but to then perform more actions on the content than just the conversion. So some of the things are like merging content together, adding headers and footers, validating the content, whether it's a Word file or PDF, bookmarking it, adding hyperlinks, tables of contents, removing security or splitting files up. There's a number of functions we can call, and that I'll show you some of those as we go through the scenarios later on as well. So depending on the use case, you'll combine different functions in workflows, automated workflows that are running in the background to achieve a certain kind of user requirement, a use case, whether that's just creating your compliant PDFs, whether it's automatically generating reports, whether it's other automation for specific tasks or archiving or some AI use cases. They can be combined in different ways. We run a number of webinars on different aspects of DocShifter. This one is just focused purely on the kind of manipulation or the automation of preparing PDFs themselves for compliance purposes. So that's what we're focused on here. But again, if you look at any of our recordings for other webinars, you'll see we've ran sessions on some of these other use cases as well. And then the results go back out into some repository, either back from where it came as a rendition or as a new document, or somewhere in a folder or via email, etc. as well. Basically, these workflows are something that are invisible typically to a user. They don't normally see these. These are controlled. They're set up in the background, and they're things that customers can tweak and can fine-tune what the settings should be for how the file should be converted, how it should be processed, how the PDF should be fixed. All of that can be configured specifically for you, but it's automated in the background. So if you look at some of the ways you might do this today, your content typically starts off in other formats, not PDF. It starts in whether it's Word, whatever the authoring application may be. It's reviewed, and updated in those tools, at some point it's converted or rendered into a PDF format. And that PDF format often isn't quite compliant initially when you render it. Depending on the tool you're using, it may not be fully ready to be included in a dossier or to be shared with a health authority. So often you then take those renditions or those PDFs that are created, initial PDFs, prepare them further for inclusion later on in a submission. So you manipulate the PDFs. That might include creating multiple versions of it for use in different regions and different, to submit to different health authorities. Then include those in a submission. You draft publish the submission, and then you validate. The problem is with that process is you typically then find out quite late on or very late on that you may have some issues with the PDF. If that's the first time you validate or QC the PDF is after you publish it, obviously then you're potentially very late on discovering issues that might have traced back to the source document and could have been identified and hopefully fixed earlier. So what we're going to look at is how we can automate some of these things, especially this preparation of the PDF, how we can automate that much more, and including that, the validation or the QC of the PDF at the end. So what we're told by a lot of our clients is, in terms of the challenges for content preparation, especially from a PDF perspective, are that it's still quite a manual process. Even if you have tools that maybe do things in batch or process multiple files at the same time, or one after another, there's still a manual element to it, which makes it a slow process. It's quite resource intensive from a human perspective, and that you're obviously sitting there waiting for things to happen on your desktop quite often as you're manipulating PDFs. Obviously, the moment anything is manual, you introduce an element of risk, that there will be some human errors creeping in and some compliance issues remaining because of the human manual elements there as well. When we say it's complex, often that's because there's multiple tools used to fix different aspects of the PDF. So you may not have one tool that does all. You may have multiple tools and plugins that do different things that then make it more of a complex process that requires training of multiple applications and tools, et cetera, as well. So multiple challenges. These are just some of the key ones that our clients have told us about. And again, the tools you use depend very much on the platform you're using. You may well use tools like Office or your RIM or document management platforms to generate the PDF in the first place. And depending on the tool you're using, how close that is to being compliant can vary greatly. It can be everything from a very dumb PDF that needs a lot of manipulation to a PDF that at least has some compliance elements included. But typically, you'll often have additional tools on the desktop or in batch tools or plugins that then manipulate the PDF to help prepare it for compliance purposes, for inclusion in a dossier. So that might be tools like, Adobe Acrobat or Toolbox applications or plugins to Acrobat that actually then manipulate the PDF to help prepare it for compliance purposes. Again, typically very manual. What we find a lot of our clients are talking to, so those of you on the line are probably very well aware of the pain points, if you like, in preparing PDFs. There's a lot of work, a lot of time seemingly spent, obviously, on generating bookmarks or ensuring that there's the correct set of bookmarks included to the correct granularity level, not just the creation of them, but also ensuring technically they're correct and that they're, the zoom level set correctly to inherit zoom, things like that as well. Same thing with hyperlinks as well. A lot of time spent, generating hyperlinks. And again, you may have tools to help you do this in batch, but again, it's still not automatic. There's a difference between batch and fully automated. So hopefully what I'll show you here is how you could maybe reduce the hyperlinking to include some automation there, and the same thing with your bookmarking or the manual bookmarking. Same thing with ensuring that your fonts are embedded, tables of contents, etc. These are just some of the top things our clients are saying that where they're spending most of the time in the preparation of their PDFs. So in terms of what can be automated, and again, I'm just going to show you just some, not everything here, but a lot of what your rendering tool can do when it creates a PDF. A lot of people see rendering as just creating the PDF to begin with. But the rendering platform should also be able to be used to reprocess a PDF that's where the PDF is the only file you have. So you have a PDF source that you want to then manipulate in some way. So you could also reprocess a file with the rendering tool to kind of fix or set a number of options that maybe weren't set when the PDF was originally created. So we're going to have a look at some of this as well, at what can be automated. Obviously, a lot of elements around bookmarking and hyperlinking and fonts, and making sure fonts are embedded correctly, the insertion of tables or contents where necessary, adding headers and footers and watermarks, and merging multiple documents together or splitting them up. Making sure that the file's PDF is optimized for fast web view. It's the correct PDF version. You don't have empty pages in the PDF or incorrect sections included. Maybe you've got guidance text that was included in your template that remains for some reason in the PDF, which seems to happen more than it should. Your initial PDF view settings are set correctly, and images are compressed in the right way and OCR'd if necessary, so they become text searchable, etc. But even before all of that, really validate that ability to validate the content, to QC it to begin with. You can automate that when a PDF is available, it actually gets automatically QC'd in the background. So rather than manually QCing it and validating it for inclusion in the submission, you could actually automate that validation process as well. So it actually does a full QC well before you even include that PDF inside the submission itself. That way you're identifying issues much earlier on that then can be fixed either by reprocessing or some of the things I'm going to show you now. So maybe we'll start off with the identifying of the issues. So the idea here really is that no matter where the content resides, no matter what repository it's in, you can integrate into existing life cycles that when a PDF reaches a certain point in its life cycle, you can automatically check for issues. You can QC that PDF, for many of the things that you're checking manually for. Do you have any issues with hyperlinks or bookmarks and the technical elements of the font embedding and the PDF version and the optimization, etc. Checking that all those things are included, but doing it systematically, automatically in the background rather than manually through an interactive tool. And then generating a report that shows you what the issues are or potentially fixing it, which I'll show you shortly in the demo. So with that, those are some of the things, obviously, you can identify these issues to begin with. What I want to show you already is how you can, through some demonstrations, some scenarios for this automation, some of those things that I explained. So I'm just going to show you them again and just show you those that are highlighted, the things I'm going to demo here. Doesn't mean this is everything that can be done. There's a lot more than can be done than that I'm showing right now, but I'm just going to highlight a few of them and show you how I can automate the fixing or, the preparation of the PDF in these aspects, if you like, as well. So what I'm going to do is run 5 different scenarios. I'm going to start off just by showing you the automation of the identification of issues, analyzing the PDF file at certain points, and showing you what's wrong with the PDF itself. I'm going to show you that as a report in this case. I'm going to re-render, if you like, the PDF. I'm going to show you a scenario where I re-render a PDF file. And that re-rendering is actually going to fix a number of the issues that were identified in the original PDF that I show you. I'm going to then look at sort of adding some bookmarks from maybe a PDF that has no bookmarks for some reason. Either it was OCR'd, it was just scanned images, so it had no bookmarks created, or just the tool used to create it had no bookmarks. So I'm going to look at automatically adding some bookmarks and also cleaning out some text that I don't want, maybe some guidance text that I don't want to include in that the PDF, but for some reason it was left in there and I have no access to the source. So I'll do that. And look at how I can add some automated hyperlinks as well. And then I'll do a little bit of a combination workflow at the end that kind of does multiple things all in a single flow. It's going to reprocess the document to fix all the identified issues. It's going to clean the document of unwanted sections, and it's going to add a TOC altogether. So this is just one combination example as well. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out and kind of show you this identification of issues to begin with. And what I'm going to do is take a PDF that I've got here, and it's just called some bad naming sort of file here. But I'll just show you I've got a number of issues in the PDF itself. So the first thing is maybe my bookmarks here are opening to quite a detailed level, and I may not want that. I'm just moving this out of the way, my toolbar. I may actually want everything to be collapsed. So this are all open up. Also, if I look at the technical elements of it, the properties of these bookmarks, these are all set to fit page rather than inherit zoom. So every single one of these is incorrectly set. So I would have to fix those in some way manually. I have some guidance text remaining in here, which I fix in a separate thing, but I also have some hyperlinks, and for some reason, the hyperlinks are all red. So in here, if I look at my edit link as well, so these are set to fit page also. So a number of issues with bookmarks. I've got issues with my hyperlinks with the wrong zoom level set. I have a link to an external website here. I got a link to the EMA website, for example. And if I look at the properties of the file as well, I can see that my fonts haven't been embedded. So it's using fonts that are not embedded here as well. I have some properties, document properties set still. I may not be using the right PDF version. I'm using 1.6. I may want 1.7. It's not optimized for fast web view. And my initial view settings aren't correct. This is not using the default page layout. It's using single page layout, for example, as well. So a number of issues with this PDF. So this is what I'm going to use as my starting point, okay? So if I come over here, I'm just going to use, as I say, you can have everything fully automated. But what I'm going to show you is, just so I can show you what it's doing more, I'm going to show you with our interactive, our simple web UI. Everything I show you here could be a fully automated step within your document management system. When a document reaches a certain lifecycle state, or whatever it is, or during rendering time, everything I'm showing you here could be a part of that process as well. But I'm going to show you here through this 3-click kind of tool we have, which is called DocShifter Express. And I'm just going to, for example, start off with a scenario where I'm going to validate or QC my PDF. So in this case, again, this will be fully automatic in my DMS, but I'm just going to select the file, and I'm going to select this bad PDF. That's the one that I just showed you just a moment ago. If I open that up and click on process, so again, 3 clicks, that file was sent from my local machine to my DocShifter server running in the cloud, and it sent the result back to me. All of that can be contained completely within your DMS. I just want to keep on restating that. I'm just doing it interactively here to show you kind of what it's doing. What that's done is it's created a report that's telling me, automatically creating a report that's telling me what's wrong with the file, with the PDF, or what issues has it identified. So what it's telling me here in the summary at the top is that it's found 47 individual issues. It gives me some details about the document itself. And then it gives me a summary table telling me these are the checks that I told it to run. You don't have to run all the checks. You can configure which checks you want to run when in the life cycle, but it tells you of the checks I configured it to run, whether it passed or failed each one of them. So does it include text searchable text? Does it exceed any file size limitation set? So does it exceed 80 or 100 meg, 150 meg? Whatever the guidance says, you can configure it to ensure for that region it's not exceeding the file size limits. Do you have any password protection, etc. on it? Technically, is it the right PDF version? In this case, I was simply checking, is it a compliant version? Is it 1.4, 5, 6, or 7? So it's saying it's passed, even though it was 1.6. So it's actually passed a check here. But I could have specifically told it to check that it's specifically 1.7, in which case it would have failed. It says fast web view option isn't activated. That's failed. And I saw that when I showed you the properties. It's failed. The fonts haven't been embedded correctly. I'm not going to show you every single thing that's here, but in the navigation, I showed you the page layout's not set to default. That was set to fit page, I believe it was. Bookmarks are expanded until the defined level. It's failed here. I had too many levels of bookmarks opened. When I open the PDF up, I don't want to see so many levels. I only want to include the first level, for example. Magnification of bookmarks isn't set to inherit zoom. You saw that in the bookmarks and in the hyperlinks, etc. as well. So I see a number of checks that ultimately could make your PDF non-compliant. So if you were to put this through a submission validation tool, and you had any of these issues remaining, at that point, you'd find, obviously, it would, you'd get an error flagged in the validation report, and you'd have to sort of address that issue. Here, the idea is you're identifying it much earlier, identifying that there's a problem. You got no external links to websites. That's failed because I do have a link, etc. So all of the issues that it's found, there's blue text without hyperlinks, etc. as well. So we have a full list of all the checks we perform, what they mean, etc. as well. If you're interested, just let us know in the notes and we can send you the full list of checks and fixes that can be performed. So again, it checks for a number of elements here. So you start off getting this summary table at the beginning, and then you get the detail of what the errors are underneath. So it's saying, yep, okay, fonts were not embedded, and it tells you specifically which fonts weren't embedded. They appear in the document, but they weren't embedded correctly as they should be for compliance. It tells me page layout is not set to default. It tells me which bookmarks I have the issues with. These should all be contracted up. It tells me which bookmarks are not set to inherit zoom. These are all set to fit to page, width, or visible. And it tells me what page number each of those bookmarks is pointing to. Tells me I've got some hyperlink issues because I got the hyperlinks that are the wrong color. So it tells me the hyperlink text itself and what page they're on, etc. So I get the detail in here. I get the summary at the top, and then I get the detail below. So this is just QCing the file. So this can form part of your kind of documentation for submissions. This is your checklist for compliance for each individual PDF, but it's automated. It's automatically created for you. I showed you here manually sending it, but that would be created automatically as part of the document's lifecycle. Okay. So that's the first step. Looking maybe next, we'll just look at, okay, well, let's take that PDF file and let me re-render it. I'm going to send it to be reprocessed to fix a lot of those issues that were identified. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to send the documents to be re-rendered. So if I just come back, I'm just going to refresh my screen here just a second. I'm going to create an FDA compliant PDF version of this. We had more attendees today joining from the US, so I'll use an FDA example. And I'm just going to select that same document again. I'll just select the bad PDF. I'm going to process it. It will go through, and that file has been sent up, and I've received my compliant PDF back. One thing you notice is just how quick that rendition actually appears. So that's now created a new PDF. So if I come over here, I'm just going to open that PDF up. And this was my original that I had open. And this is the new rendition now. So this is now addressed automatically a number of the things without me doing anything other than it being reprocessing the file because of the way I've configured my automation. For example, it's automatically closed and only showing the level 1 level bookmarks. So you can define that whether it's 1, 2, whatever it may be, but it's closed everything up, which is what I wanted. All of these are now, every single one of them is set to inherit zoom correctly. So all of these have been adjusted. I didn't remove guidance text. I'm going to show you that later, but I've got my hyperlinks are now all blue. So first thing is ensure they're all blue in color. So if I right click, edit the link as well, all of these are all adjusted to be inherit zoom as well. My link to my external website has been removed because I shouldn't have that link in there. And you can tell it what type of links to remove and which ones to preserve. And it's removed the link and it's kind of kept the text. In my case, I've said keep the text, revert it back to black text, etc. as well. And from a technical perspective, like a properties, what I've also done is the fonts, you'll notice they're all now embedded. So it's embedded all the fonts that are used as it should. And the descriptions, I've told it to clean out these properties. In this case, it's now updated the PDF to version 1.7, even though that wasn't flagged as an error in the validation report because technically 1.6 is compliant. So it kind of, but it's still updated the PDF version to the latest. Fast web view is now enabled. My initial view settings are now default as well. So you can see that it's actually affected those changes. So everything has been updated kind of for you. What that means is if I ran that validation report again on that fixed file, so if I go back and run my QC on this fixed document instead, so if I run this one here and process this file, hold on a second. I think I need to, there we go. Excellent. So I've now got my report created. I'll just zoom in a little bit here. Should see I now only have 6 issues remaining. And I'll show you what some of these are in just a moment. So if I scroll down, so you'll notice now all of these are passed. So the PDF fast web view is now passed. Fonts have been embedded correctly. A number of these issues, page layout is set to default. My bookmark issues have all been resolved. The only things that have changed. It says I still check is one of the checks you can perform is some customers will only want to have one bookmark pointing to the first page for some reason. So I've left that check on. So it's failed because I have more than one bookmark that points to page 1 in the document. I do still have some blue text in the document that isn't a hyperlink. So it's marked that as failed. So it highlights the fact that you do have blue text in a document that isn't set to be a hyperlink. So I'll show you that in a moment. So it can be useful to help you identify places where you may need, as part of your process, to add a hyperlink later. There is no table of content included so far. So there is no TOC included in the document. So it's failed that check, but that's it. And then it gives me the details underneath. So just to show you kind of how I could, just by reprocessing the file, I could fix a number of those issues that were identified in that report. Okay. What I'd like to do is show you quickly a couple of other scenarios. One, how I could then maybe take a PDF that has no bookmarks and add them. So if I take a sample file here, if I just open up this bookmark PDF, oh, where did my Acrobat go? Here we go. So if I take this PDF, you'll notice a couple of things. One, it has some guidance text in it, which I don't want, like I showed you before. And on top of that, I have no bookmarks for whatever reason. The tool used to create it had no bookmarks. It was OCR'd, whatever it may be. So what I want to do is bookmark this automatically. And again, this could have been part of an automated process, but I'm going to just quickly refresh here. I'm going to bookmark and clean that file automatically. So I'm just going to select my bookmark document, my PDF. And again, you could send a whole batch of files this way as well. Oh, I've got a slow connection here. So let me just quickly come back here. Just refresh. Let me start the bookmarker again. Go here, process the document. And okay, I'm having some issues here kind of collecting through to this server. Let me just quickly go back. I've had some network issues here at home today, I'm afraid. So I'll just quickly go through, hopefully process. Oh, okay, let me do this again, one more time. Okay, try that one more time. Select the file, go to the bookmark, process the file. Okay, it's not completed. So if I now open that PDF up, the results. So if I open up my Acrobat again. So what I now have is, compared to the original that had no bookmarks and it had this guidance text in it, my processed file has had the guidance text removed automatically. And that can remove guidance text, can remove empty pages or empty sections. And it's also automatically bookmarked that file based on rules that are defined around styling and formatting, etc. as well. So instead of having to manually add these bookmarks for whatever reason or use tools, this can be processed automatically as well. One other scenario I'll quickly look at is, because I'm aware that, especially with that hiccup, it's taken a bit more time, just quickly show you the hyperlinking. So if I look at a PDF file that maybe has narrative text in it, referring to, for example, tables and figures throughout the document. So this is just regular text. It's not hyperlinked in any way. And I have tables and figures scattered throughout this PDF. But none of this narrative text actually has links to them. So what I want to do is create some hyperlinks automatically between the narrative and the actual captions themselves. So what I'm going to do is quickly come back here. Hopefully my network connection holds out long enough. And I'm just going to click next to just accept the defaults. And I'm going to select my hyperlink test doc here. Process the file. And it's received the results back already. So if I just quickly go into my processed files, show you the end results, you'll notice what it's done is it's automatically now created links between the narrative text where there's references to tables and figures throughout the document. It's actually kind of created those links for me automatically. So you can see here, to manually add all these links, you'd either need a plugin or something to create them in batch. But here, this could be part of a fully automated process as that document works through its life cycle. And that could have been done in PDF or in the original source Word file as well. Okay, the one last thing I'll very quickly show you for those that are still on, and I appreciate you sticking with me if you have, it's just a scenario where maybe I combine multiple things. So I'm going to take that same PDF that I had at the beginning, and I'm going to, one, fix all the PDF issues, plus I'm going to clean out that guidance text and add a TOC to it as well. So I'm going to go a little bit further this time with that same source document, process it a little bit more, adding some TOC elements as well, just doing a little bit more automatically, just to reduce the time you need again. So again, the layout of the TOC you can define, and you can tell it to make sure it only adds a TOC if one didn't exist. But that TOC is already added automatically. I've fixed all the elements that it fixed before. So in terms of collapsing up my bookmarks and making sure everything is blue and the correct zoom level, but it's removed my guidance text, added the TOC, and fixed everything as before. So those were the scenarios I wanted to walk through with you very briefly. Just very quickly to kind of summarize, realistically, you could look at leveraging your rendering platform to do more. Don't think of it as a tool just to convert from the authoring application formats to PDF. It can be used to go from PDF to compliant PDF as well. And again, do that automatically and kind of pull in a lot of things that you may be doing manually today with manual tools, automating those things in a lot kind of faster kind of process, speeding up your process, reducing the risk because you're doing it automatically as well in the background. So again, apologies for running a couple of minutes over. Apologies for the slight technical hiccup. But if you do have any kind of comments, I'd appreciate obviously any feedback you have. I believe Odman has like a quick poll question to ask at the end. Be good to obviously understand a little bit about what tools you're using, obviously whether or not you'd like to kind of us to reach out to you to talk about anything in a little bit more detail. Obviously we can do that. And again, we run these sessions regularly. So please, one, look out for videos, other, future invitations, and obviously any sessions we have a library of webinars that we've ran that are recorded and available on YouTube and other formats as well. So with that, I want to thank you very much for sticking with me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. So thanks again, everybody. See you soon.